Steven Universe and all associated images are property of Cartoon Network, Rebecca Sugar, and any and all other respective owners. I don't know them all. All footage in this video has been used for the purpose of critique parody under fair use. Please support the official release. Fair warning, this video will contain major spoilers for the recently released Steven Universe game, Save the Light. Also, a quick apology in case you hear rain in the background at any point in this video. I recorded this over a few days and it just so happens that it was raining on most of them, and as I've mentioned before, the walls of my house do not keep out the sound of rain very well. All of that said, I'd also like to thank one of my subscribers who actually gave me a suggestion which helped me to round this theory out into a complete video rather than the portion of a video that I had originally planned for it to be. Thank you again for pointing out a detail that I never would have caught myself and for giving me permission to use your ideas in this video. I've already talked about the potential canon status of Save the Light in the context of determining whether or not a Hessonite seen in the series itself would have the same design as the Hessonite seen in Save the Light, making the argument that determining whether or not it would might serve as a foundation upon which to build new theories regarding how gems work. The conclusion of that video is that Save the Light has the same level of canonicity as the game to which it is a sequel, Steven Universe Attack the Light, which is said to be level 2 canon, something which we are to assume happened until such a time that the series contradicts it. In fact, Save the Light specifically suggests that it's in an alternate timeline of some sort, that some detail somewhere was changed, causing the universe in which Steven Universe takes place to split into the universe of the TV show and the universe in which the events of the TV show as well as the events of Attack the Light and Save the Light take place. Not only do I have further evidence that Hessonite is canon, that her design specifically is canon to the TV show, and that she may have appeared in the show already, but I think I know where the divergence point was between the universe of the games and the universe of the TV show, and I think I can solve one of the biggest mysteries left in Steven Universe. The mystery of what this mural depicts. Again, I want to thank that subscriber, Leanna Verwood, because honestly, a good 50% of the content in this video, if not more, is built upon the observation that they made. First of all, let's get out of the way the idea that we have already seen Hessonite in the series. A lot of you have already pointed this out to me, so I'm going to actually go through it pretty quick. Even the wiki made note of this. In the episode Monster Reunion, when Centipedal is drawing pictures of what happened during her time on Earth during the war, she draws a picture of her commander. The drawing is very simplistic. We don't really get an idea of what this gem's proportions might be, because it's effectively a stick figure. But we can see that she is depicted in orange, has a roughly squarish head, a sort of curly afro, and a chest gem, which is rectangular and sits vertically. Put her next to Hessonite and you can see that Hessonite shares those same details. A roughly squarish head, a sort of curly afro, and a chest gem, rectangular in shape and oriented vertically. This gem was implied by Centipedal's story to be her commander, and we know from Peridot in Save the Light that Hessonites are important military commanders. In fact, she points out that the Hessonite seen in the game is a war hero from the time of the rebellion, someone who fought against the crystal gems. That is certainly in line with Centipedal's story, and considering that these two figures have the same gem placement, if the drawing by Centipedal is of a Hessonite, it is almost certainly this Hessonite, which is pretty interesting, because this particular Hessonite comes to Earth to recover something which is said to be one of the weapons that she used against the crystal gems during the war. The Light Prism, a powerful sentient weapon that unleashes the primary antagonists of Attack the Light and is the central focus of the plot of Save the Light. The Prism has the ability to project solid creatures which resemble the holographic bodies of gems. It can project many of them at a time, and is even said to be able to project an entire army of creatures made of pure light. After one of these creatures, a creature made of white light, is accidentally released from the Prism in Attack the Light, it splits into various creatures of different colors, which are then later defeated and recaptured using the Prism. So it stands to reason that if Hessonite has been in the show and is therefore canon to the show, that her weapon, this Prism, would also be canon to the show. And in fact it is. And I think we've seen it. Keep in mind that my theory here is that the crew realized that they were never going to be able to tell this story that they had originally planned to tell at some point, and so worked with the game creators to fill in the gap, and therefore it stands to reason there will be retcons between the plot of the game and the original intention of the show. Some details may not line up completely. Keeping that in mind, let's move on to the next stage of this theory. I mentioned the Pyramid Temple mural, and that's because Hessonite and the Prism have some connection to the Pyramid Temple. In Save the Light, Hessonite does manage to get the Prism back from the crystal gems. When she does, however, she finds the white light that the Prism emits, in the form that it took at the end of Attack the Light, the form of Steven. it formed a bond with Steven and took on his form. From this point on, throughout the rest of the game, Hessonite's goal was to try to get the Prism to turn into a more powerful form so that she can use it as a weapon. We know from dialogue between Pearl and Hessonite in the game that Hessonite did fight the Crystal Gems on many occasions, and in fact, Rose Quartz specifically defeated her and took the Prism from her. That's why the Crystal Gems had possession of it in Attack the Light. Despite the fact that there were said to be many such prisms, at some point the removal of this specific prism from Hessonite's possession was of strategic importance. One of the places that Hessonite travels in this quest to get the prism to take on a more dangerous form is the original location of the Pyramid Temple. When the heroes follow her there, they find a secret entrance to another temple. If we assume that the Pyramid Temple was part of this same facility, then a connection between the prism and the Pyramid Temple is proven by the fact that Hessonite thought that taking it back there would serve her purpose. And the Pyramid Temple itself is full of symbolism linking it to the prism. The pyramid-shaped key that Garnet summons to unlock the Pyramid Temple looks very much like the prism itself. The Pyramid Temple itself is shaped like the prism, and these still unknown gems from the mural each seem to either be holding the prism or to have a prism embedded into their body. Which brings us to what I think is the final answer to what is going on in this mural. I think that the mural depicts events that happened after Rose took the prism from Hessonite. I think that the three figures that up to this point we thought were gems are in fact other prisms. That the object that Rose is holding here in this central panel is the prism that she got from Hessonite, and that she is using it to attempt to defeat one of the other prisms. And that in fact the gem that was collected from the Pyramid Temple was that other prism. We saw in Sirius Steven that the platforms circling what we have up to this point been calling the Pyramid Temple gem were projections of light, as when the Pyramid Temple gem was removed, they all disappeared. This is entirely in line with the prism's ability to create constructs of light that seem to exist and behave independent of any gem, and can be called back to the prism later. Because remember, in Attack the Light, the prism was used to recollect the individual light monsters. And if we are to assume that some details included in the game were originally meant to end up in the show, the Pyramid Temple obelisk changing its face to smile at Steven could have been a nod to the fact that there was an intention for the prism to come to trust and appreciate Steven. This means that we can easily determine the divergence point between these two timelines. The events of Attack the Light are kicked off when Garnet returns to the temple with the prism. This means that just like many other gems and objects before it, Garnet foresaw that it was going to cause trouble and recovered it so that it could be bubbled and stored away in the temple. This means that if the prism does exist in the show's timeline, then Garnet either never foresaw that it would cause trouble and therefore never went to get it, or she went on a mission to get it at some point in time where Steven didn't see it and accidentally turn it on. Either way, nothing in the show so far contradicts the idea that the prism might exist, not some other prism like I speculate the Pyramid Temple gem to be, but the specific prism that was the antagonist of Attack the Light and the object of interest in Save the Light. This means that theoretically the events of Attack the Light and Save the Light could still happen in the show if the crew decides that they should. And I'm not going to lie, but I think the events of Save the Light just might. I think it's very possible that some version of the events of that game might make it into the show. As far as I can tell, it was never explicitly said that Hessonite returned to Earth when she did because of the events of Attack the Light. From what I can tell, she just decided to come back and get the prism. If that's the case, she very well may do that in the show as well. The only reason I can think of why she wouldn't is that some key piece of information that she needed to make the decision never made it back to her in the show's timeline. But now we're getting into the realm of speculation, which means I'm going to go ahead and end it here. To recap, I think that we have seen both Hessonite and the Prism in the Steven Universe TV series. I think that the Pyramid Temple gem, as we've been calling it, is a second prism, that the crystal gems imprisoned in the Pyramid Temple, as the Pyramid Temple had some connection to the prisms. And I think that the mural in the Pyramid Temple was a depiction of Rose using one prism to fight against several others. I think that all of this was put into these games with the blessing of the crew, because at some point they realized that whatever story they intended to tell regarding the mural just wasn't going to make it into the show. That they helped the game designers to work these details into the game so that we could put this together for ourselves, and that story wouldn't need to be told. As per usual though, I'd like to know, what do you guys think of this theory? Let's get a discussion going in the comment section down below. Either way, this has been AJ22, and I will talk to you guys later.